Welcome. My name is Joyful. This is podcast Yabantu together with Campro Studios. Today we thought maybe we should surprise you, and we took a left turn, short left, if I may put it that way, and visited Thrive Labs. We are here in Bryanston. This is Sloan, right?
Sloan Square. Yeah.
Sloan Square. Mark, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for allowing us into your space. Maybe let me give you an opportunity just to introduce yourself to the people so they get to know who you are.
Sure. My name is Mark de Gavea. I'm the owner and founder of Thrive Labs here in Johannesburg. It's one of the first biohacking facilities in the country, if not the first. And what we are aiming to do is to help people understand how to take control of their own biology, how to take control of their own health, how to take control of their own performance and recovery. And in that, when taking responsibility for all of this, everyone takes the steps forward in order to live a better, stronger, healthier life and live basically any kind of dreams that they're, that they set out for themselves, helping them understand themselves on a lot deeper levels.
Beautiful. So I think you just partly answered a question that I had. Is this the first? I haven't seen or heard of establishments such as this. Is there any around here? Do you know of any?
So I know that there are a few people that are kind of implementing ice bars into their spaces. It's starting to pick up quite a bit of popularity. We have been open for about 2.5 years already, so we certainly are front runners. But in terms of kind of the way we do things, everything we've put together, really a lot of thought and guidance with other health professionals, helping us stack certain therapies together to really get the most out of the body and out of the shortest amounts of time possible. Sometimes it is a bit long, but the thing is, like, we have to invest in ourselves. It's so important, because when we don't have us, then there's really nothing there.
What really inspired this? You're saying you've been open for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
What really inspired this? What were you doing before that you say maybe this gave birth to this baby here?
So my partner is 14 years younger than me.
Okay.
And I do a martial arts called capoeira. I've been doing it for 18 years, and
I've seen that.
Yeah, it's a Brazilian martial art. It's fantastic, and I'm just so in love with it that I want to be able to do it for as long as humanly possible. So that was kind of my why. And I came across a book during COVID, and with the whole kind of COVID saga and what I believe to be a huge fabrication of the truth, getting people to rely on institutions that really should not be relied on. I came across information that really helped put in the foundational aspects of health. And initially it really appealed to me personally, and I wanted to try all these things, and I started implementing a few of the practices that I had been learning about. And I just went from strength to strength to strength. My body fat just went down and down and down. And there was a point where I was like, I've got an investment from my parents passed away in the tsunami in 2004, and they left me some money which I had put away. And I was like, I'm gonna buy this, and I'm gonna buy this, and I'm gonna buy this, all these things. And my brother said to me, he's like, why don't you make a business of it? And I was like, oh my God.
I never thought of that.
And that feeling in my tummy just started going crazy with excitement. And then I just started putting things together, and when things are meant to be, they just flow right into one another, and absolutely just obviously there's work involved and all the rest of it. But I knew that so many people needed this, especially from how I was feeling, where you don't even realize it, right? It's like the frog in the water, where if you put a frog in boiling water, it'll jump out. But if you put a frog in cold water and start to boil it, the frog's temperature will just start to regulate, and you don't realize it. It doesn't realize it, and it'll eventually boil itself to death. It won't jump out. And the same thing with our health. But so slow, these layers of dishealth and dis-ease that creates disease in our body. We don't realize it, that we're inflamed, we've got brain fog. It just becomes normal. And I came out of it and I was like, whoa. You start to see the world for what it really is. And you start to see yourself for who you really are.
So when you started, wasn't did you face any like challenges or resistance around like trying to get people coming in to do all these therapies?
So I think, to be honest, we hit the ground running. So I mean, not profitable, but we were kind of there, breaking even-ish, which is amazing for a startup, and especially in a niche that no one really understood.
Yeah.
Now there's getting a little bit more momentum, but initially that really there was resistance. We still have resistance, obviously, and because everyone is so dependent on conventional medicine, they kind of think that this is woo, like a little bit out there. It's not real stuff. But once they experience it, things change, and then they start to talk about it, because that excitement, like that shock, it's like, oh my God, I went and I had this most amazing experience. So there's definitely still some resistance, but I'm confident that in the not too distant future, everyone is going to be on this, and the need for chemical band-aids is going to be reduced significantly.
I can imagine the amount of work and effort that you had to put in educating some of the newbies, people that really didn't understand what this is all about. And how did that go?
So I guess effort is relative. It's so easy to talk from here. So when you're passionate about something, and you know you're passing on something, you're passing on a tool, you're passing on something of value, especially when people are receptive to it. Because generally the receptive people are the people that are going to be here. So I got to interact with the people that were already quite receptive to it, and then you start to educate them and give them more and more layers that they get to work with and understand. And then that starts to spread, even if it's just a expression of excitement to a friend or family member. People get to a point where they've just had enough. And like they can't just keep putting pills in their mouth. They can't just keep doing this. They can't, and eventually they're just like, okay, fine, let me just try this. Essentially that's kind of where we always get to with anywhere in our lives. You bump your head on the wall 100,000 times, and then eventually, okay, well, I guess if I put my head on the wall, this is what's going to happen.
I grew up in the village, and when I first came here at Drive Labs, and most of the therapies that I did, something I have seen in the past, done in ways that, the sauna is something that I grew up seeing people doing.
How did they do the saunas?
So they would dig a wall, and they'll put fire there, put some stones. They have to put stones in the fire, and then they will. I can't remember how they would put like a dish, put the stones in, and pour water, and then cover you.
Beautiful. It's like they do. It's called a sweat lodge. They do. Something similar.
Like that.
That's amazing.
And for me, and I've seen how those things have like slowly like filtered down and like died down, and no one is really doing that anymore. Do you think there is who's doing so much work to try and take us away from all those natural ways of living and healing, and we are now stuck in conventional medicine? We are taking pills every day, but we have moved away from that. What can you say about that?
So, I mean, it goes back over 100 years. So the Rockefellers, this is the story that I've been told and come across quite a number of times. And the Rockefellers had a monopoly on the oil industry in the States. And when they found out that chemical medicines could be made from petroleum, they started to invest in the schooling systems, in the universities, and started to put board members on each of the faculties. So they started to influence and change from allopathic medicines, so more natural stuff, and start to push it out and completely condemn it, saying it's alternative, it's not real, it doesn't work, and start pushing their agenda so that their chemical band-aids, as I like to call them, start to be mainstream and get sold. So it's more of an immediate gratification, and they had huge amounts of benefit on a small scale, on a small level. So so everyone was like, oh wow, this actually works. But essentially, like you can see over the past 100 years, the health of humanity has just been declining and declining and declining. So, you know, and there's an annuity type of income that comes through that. So the pharmaceutical companies then filter through into the doctors. So the pharmaceutical companies make sure that the doctors are doing it. And if the doctors aren't selling it, then they're not getting their customers back. So it becomes this catch-22. But now to convince someone that their lifestyle, the act of their lifestyle, everything that they do to create their lifestyle is wrong, is impossible. You can't get through to people if their whole life is revolved around that, where they get their food from, where they get their ability to live and survive. On that, they will never ever be able to. It was, I mean, a feat beyond what we're able to do is to get through to that.
So I'm seeing Thrive Labs here. Is this the only one around here? Are you guys planning to open new branches in different areas?
So a franchise model is on the cards. We're still working through it. We're trying to perfect this. You know, we want to operate at a level of excellence rather than just good. So we're taking steps to get us into that space. We have been playing around with the franchise, but we keep on coming back to this. So I just kind of allow and let God, you know, and just make sure that I just do with whatever I get and stop trying to fight the current and just go with the flow. But we absolutely are. We want to move our premises to somewhere local, and then from there we can really create the business model that we want to create so that we can help as many people as possible.
What are the challenges that you like face along the way in terms of running the business as it is? What is it that really sometimes makes you feel like maybe this is not working?
Winter. Winter's a tough one. Because no one really cares about their health that much in winter. That's the main one. So there's a big dip. That's where like my stress levels go. And obviously, as you know, early business, there are these things that we're trying to work out, and it's a succeed and fail and succeed and fail. You know, both need to be present. I think the other thing is also the knowledge and help getting people educated on how beneficial these things actually are. And then I think like personally this kind of where we are is a little bit tucked away. We don't have a lot of people coming past and all the rest of it. So to start collaborating with more doctors of the same thinking, because there are more and more coming through. A lot more realizing the benefits of these sorts of practices, and even, you know, I've kind of had a go at the medical industry in, you know, the first few minutes of this, but there's absolutely place for it, and I don't want to come across and say that, you know, it's just completely condemn the entire industry, but the kind of foundation of it is not really built on authenticity.
Wow. No, this is beautiful. I think when I first came here, for me, what I picked up is the people that work here. When they took me around, I felt like they do understand what's happening here, and they have explained also the benefits of these treatments. I think later on we're going to have someone taking us around and showing us what happens, what this does. Which of all these therapies would you say is your favorite?
Okay, so if you need a quick fix, ice bath.
Ice bath.
Absolutely. Ice bath is, is definitely up there because it really is the like biggest bang for your buck. And then the other would be probably ozone rectal insufflation. So putting the ozone into your colon. Amazing. So the thing is that you'd have to do it kind of 5 days in a row, but then you really start to feel incredible benefits.
When I came here for the first time, when I came out, my energy levels were high and different. I felt really amazing, and along the way I was asking myself, what is happening here? And I think I shared with you when I went into the hyperbaric bag. Was in there for an hour. The music is amazing, and I think towards the end, I shared before that I actually saw my sister who passed on, I think 2 years ago, and she came and she smiled. and I felt like I was gone. I don't know if that's a trance or anything.
Like lucid dreaming.
Yes, yes.
When you're half in, half out.
Yeah. Does it really do that?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
If you're open to it, sure.
Oh, so you have to be open to it.
And if you're looking for something, if you kind of open yourself up to it and you're in the search for certain parts, and I had a similar experience with my mom. I think I also told you.
Oh yeah.
So last year November, I had done a family constellation. I'd been going through really some dark times and facing myself quite deeply. And there's a whole bunch of trauma that gets stuck within our family line, and if we don't kind of get through and work through the trauma, we just pass it on to our kids and pass it on and pass it on. So I went to find out where this trauma was and like spiritually clear it, and kind of the guy that I was with was kind of chatting to my mom and telling me what she was saying and all the rest of it. So there was quite a deep interaction, and there were tears. It was quite emotionally draining. And then the next day, I went and I hopped on the hyperbaric, and I also had the vibration thing on here, and I think that's what takes you. And I remember like falling asleep and almost asleep, but I was still there, and I saw my mom, and I was like, "What?" It's like, "Mom."
Yeah.
And I start walking towards her, but she's walking away, and eventually I catch up with her, and she just gives me the biggest hug and just tells me how proud she is of me. And it was an amazing, I was in tears, like it was unbelievable. So I didn't realize that other people had actually had experiences like that.
Wow. So I'm picking up from what you are saying, that if someone comes in here, it's not what the therapies or what the person is told what to do. It has to come from them. You have to choose what you want from all this.
Absolutely. So we constantly live in a space of fight or flight because of the traffic, because of the news, because Israel and Palestine are having a go at each other, like, and then you must choose sides, and there's like pictures of dead babies and all the rest of it just completely overtaking our senses. So we're sitting in this, oh my God, this place is horrible, and like the humanity must die and all the rest of it, and there's like really negative energy going around, right? So we're sitting in a place of fight or flight, like stress the whole time. When you are able to get your body into that calm, where you're breathing nicely, and it's what you call your parasympathetic or your rest and relax nervous system, and you've regulated it down to a state where your brain waves start to change. That's when you are open to those sorts of experiences. And we're constantly in like very high frequency or low frequency essentially, but just like very intense frequency that's hard to manage. When we move into that slow, higher frequency, you're able to be more perceptive in your intuition, and I think that's what these sorts of experiences do. When you start finding yourself in a healthy space and you're working and you start to understand yourself and you're working with yourself, and you come into a place like this, which really gets you into that rest and relax space, you're able to then connect with those sorts of experiences.
Wow. In closing, I want to know who is this person that you recommend they come in here? Who are the people that need this? Like, if you're speaking to the public, is everyone really welcome? Is everyone open to come in and get any of these therapies?
Absolutely. I don't think anyone needs anything. I think we are always enough as we are. And it's to find that depth within you and face all the good and all the bad, because it's all necessary. But in terms of the people that would benefit, that would kind of help their process, I would say firstly people like battling with health conditions, just to support them through that process and help them kind of navigate and understand what could possibly be attributing to the high inflammation, the diabetes, these sorts of things. And then help manage it. Not to say that we're the one-stop shop, but just this is a place that just gives the foundational support. Then like high-performance athletes and executives, so recovery from intense work hours and performance boosting from, like I say, athletes, mental and physical. And then just the general public that want to feel better. That's that everyone's, it's someone said to me, is magic mushrooms necessary for children?
Oh, what a question.
What a question.
Yeah.
And a part of me says yes.
Okay.
Because there's an imbalance that needs to be balanced. So every force needs an equal but opposite force. So if all these stresses and all these programs and stuff that are completely bombarding us through the news and through traumas and all the rest of it, then there's got to be something to balance out the equation. And if we don't have that, then this is always going to be dominant. So to find those things to actually help us realize what the truth is. And I feel like these sorts of therapies as well help you get to that space.
Wow, beautiful. You mentioned magic mushrooms. What's your take on psychedelics?
I think they are medicine.
Oh.
I think in a controlled environment, place and setting, intention, setting intention. What are you doing this for? These guys that take these psychedelics and go for a party, it's not for that. I've had some incredibly healing experiences, but also it's important to proceed with caution, because you have to face the deepest, darkest parts of yourself. The mushrooms or the psychedelics will always give you what you need, but if you're not able to handle it at that point, then it can be detrimental.
You might lose yourself.
There's definitely some really hard truths that come out, and there's been traumas where that I've heard from shamans that I associate with, where someone will go in and they're having their journey, and these things come up about being molested as a child that they completely blocked out. They couldn't even remember anything. And then that basically brings it to the forefront, and gives you the opportunity to deal with it. But now, are you in a good enough place, in a calm enough space to actually realize that? And that where also that parasympathetic and sympathetic, the fights and flights and the rest and relax. If you can pull yourself into that rest and relax and then go through that process, you're more likely to get more from it. And then on that note, the mushrooms will give you the information that you need, but you have to do the action.
You have to do the work.
You got to do the work afterwards. You can't just take it and be like, cool, this stuff's going to fix me. That's not it. There's nothing like that. There's nothing on the planet that is like that. There's always work following the initial understanding. You have to understand, and then from understanding, then you move into action, and then from action it becomes a knowing. And the knowing is where we need to find ourselves.
So what I'm gathering also is the person has to be preparing themselves before even taking on these journeys, before even coming here. You need to prepare your mind.
And there are psychologists that'll sit with you and actually go through a process with you, help you just get to the bottom of things and just put things in place so that when you go through, there's a bit of a path that you get to follow, rather than just coming and you go bundu bashing, because it can be quite a ride.
Wow. Mark, thank you so much. We can go on and on.
Of course.
For me, this is something that I'm really passionate about. I think when we came in here, we were taken around with the team trying to understand some of the things that happen here, and it's been a pleasure to sit down with you and hear
Likewise.
I feel there's more to talk about.
There's so much more.
And we will always come back. What do you want to say to someone who's watching about the therapies that happen here, their physical well-being, their health, in 2 minutes?
Start to take responsibility for your own health. You cannot give your responsibility to others, to doctors, to anyone. You are fully responsible for everything that happens in your life. Everything. We may be victims to certain experiences in our life, but we have to learn from each thing. And if we constantly move and go to the doctor to go get pills to make us better quicker, our bodies don't get to understand. We keep on going for immediate gratification. You are sick, and your sickness takes a certain amount of time because it's getting stronger through that process. It's like going to the gym and trying to pick up weights and all the rest of it. You can't go do 100 reps in one go. You start slowly. It's a process that you go through, and you have to be patient with yourself and kind to yourself, even through the angry phases, even through the guilt and shame phases. All of this is a part of it, and to understand that we are both light and dark, we are both masculine and feminine, and to understand that we're both negative and positive, and we cannot exist outside of those two things. We have to accept the anger that we feel so that we can experience the happiness, the sadness to experience the joy, the guilt to experience the pride, the true pride, not like negative pride. And then through all of that experience, we learn to love all of ourselves, because you cannot love yourself fully if you only love what we perceive to be good. So in that, I would say health is based on mind, body, and spirit. And if you can tap into all three of those and take responsibility and put the work in and find a routine that can be enjoyable and something that you can really feel the benefits of, you're going to change your life around. Doesn't matter what disease, doesn't matter what challenge you face in your life. If you work with yourself and believe in yourself, the sky's the limit.
Wow. Thank you so much. We are not ending it here. We are still going to go around, check out this beautiful place, get to understand what happens in here. Mark, thank you so much.
Joyful, thank you, man.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. We are still here at Thrive Labs in Bryanston, Sloan Square. We actually now just got someone who's going to go around explaining in detail what really happens in here, the names of these therapies, what they do, the benefits, and what you should do when you come here. I'm going to allow her to introduce herself. Ibizo lakhe or igama lakhe ngu Happiness. Do you prefer us to call you Happy or Happiness?
I think you can use both, either of the two that you prefer.
All right, thank you so much. And before we go, where do you come from?
Okay, mina kahle kahle ngu Happiness. Abaningi bangazi ngose ngifunda kosiphepha eCholocho, esiphepha high school. All right. So ngiqala ukusebenza la neThrive. This is my second year. I'm a receptionist. Ngathi receptionist, but I do assist my client everywhere. So ngizolazisa today ukuthi senza ziphi izinto zenziwa kanjani sizenzelani. Okay, into ezoqala ngayo i-ear ozone. Sine ear ozone. I-ear ozone isiza umuntu onama sinuses. Mangithi ama sinuses ngithi inkankila, sikwazi ngokuthi inkankila. Inkankila iyazihlupha abantu abaningi, akhona ukulala, ebusuku yavuka. So lento le sifaka for 10 minutes emuntwini, iyasiza ukubulala ibacteria yenkankila, iyasiza la ngengqondo in case ungumntwana okhohlwa izinto ongafocus kahle, lento iyasiza kakhulu. So siyenza for 10 minutes and then sinabantu abathi bafuna 2 minutes or wenza 5 minutes. So ngahlala phansi ngikwenze.
All right. So I am going to sit down and then she is going to demonstrate, show us. So I'm going to hand over the mic to you so that you will be able to speak while you are, doing what you are supposed to do. All right, let's go. It's not painful, right?
No, ayikho buhlungu, vele ngathi ngumoya nje uzobe ngene endlebeni, but umoya lo uhlukile kunomoya umoya osuphefumulayo. So lento le sifaka kanje emadlebeni, umuntu ifaka ilimit yethu ngeclient 10 minutes, but umuntu yakhetha ukuthi ufuna ukufaka isikhathi esingakanani. Lento le ngathi mina ngiezombe enkulu, mina nte ngiqala ukusebenza lana bengiba la manje inkankila like every day amakhala amavalekile, ngijuluka amanzi emakhaleni, but bengiyenza every chance I get bengenza i-ear ozone, yasiza kakhulu. And then siphinda sibe le ozone rectal, sisebenzisa i-oxygen efana nayo. I-ozone rectal siyakufilela lana ku-tube. Ngiyazi ukuthi vele sikhule esipeyida, ngithi sikhule esipeyida, but lana sipeyida ngomoya. Ngisijwayela amanzi, sipeyida ngomoya. Umoya lo uyasiza ngegut esiswini sakho. In case umuntu ohlala ugubelene, lento izokusiza kakhulu. Iyasiza nyakazi labantu omama bathi ngifuna ukuluza amafutha lana, flat stomach. This will definitely help. And then siyakufakela lana. bese uyahamba etoilet ufaka kufela kanje bese wena uyahamba etoilet ufike ufake lento kuyabe kune oxygen lana ithi ngilitshengise kahle libone siyabe sifile yaba kanje oxygen and then wena ufike etoilet ufake lana bese uyafaka ku number 2 wakho bese uyaphusha akukho buhlungu, you won't feel anything, it's just umoya lana bese uyawugcina for 20 minutes but akutsho ukuthi kumele uhlale for 20 minutes etoilet uyabuya uyenze any therapy oyenzayo bese uyasuza urelease that moya okuthole angeke unuke angeke ube njani uyawurelease nje kuphela
kusiza ngani lokho okwe ozone rectal?
So i-ozone rectal yasiza ngegathi yakho esiswini umuntu ohlale egubelene umuntu ohlale esizwa even your lungs yasiza kakhulu ma ufuna ukuguga kuthiwa ukuthandayo then wozenza lento le iyasiza nge-aging, you always be active yasiza la ngengqondo nje ukuthi uhlale umuntwana ukuthi ungatshela ulutho uyibambe nje kanjalo into yakhona so umuntu okhohlwayo nje kuphela mawufuluza amafutha izokusiza kakhulu. And then sile body composition sikubiza ngithi body composition so i-body composition sabe sikubona sikufaka emchineni sikubona ukuthi unamanzi angakanani ulegazi elingakanani ithambo lakho liyenza iweight engakanani ulamafutha angakanani emzimbeni kuqhakathekile ukuthi uma umuntu uhlala usazi ukuthi nilegazi elingakanani ungathi mase ugula sonkhona uthi hayi igazi likho somela ufaka igazi hlala uma ungumuntu ubuye uvakatshele izindawo ezifana nalezi ubone igazi lakho lingakanani uzokutha lesifo senhliziyo hlala uma ungumuntu ubone ukuthi ulamafutha angakanani amafutha lawa a right emzimbeni wakho ngomba wakho right lento lesiyayenza idlinhle intshele le price is only 100 rand kuphela ukuthi sikubone lento yakhona ukubuya maybe once in 3 months or even let's say 4 times a year just to check ukuthi urikahle yini emzimbeni uunderstand kahle ngokuphila kwakho ungahlali awazi let's say maybe awusenagazi emzimbeni uzuwe kwenzeke something uhluleka nje ukuthi uze lana ngathi zikhona ezinye indawo ezikwenzayo I think lesesibhedlela bayakwenza hlala ucheck igazi lakho ukuthi lingakanani emzimbeni wakho.
Thank you. So we are now going to move over the cameras are going to follow us while we move over to i-body comp.
Okay, njengoba benchila ukuthi siyenza i-body comp lapho esibona khona ukuthi unegazi elinganani namanzi anganani nanku umshina wakho na ngithanda ukuthi Joy engene phakathi limbone ukuthi wenza kanjani then bese uyabamba lento that thing.
Oh, which one? Where is it?
There.
Oh, this one. Okay. All right.
Bambe kanje. Yeah. So lento uyayibamba kanje bona yonke into esemzimbeni wakho ithambo lakho ukuthi linganani amanzi thanganani amafutha ukuthi anganani and then iyasho nokuthi like for example awuna manzi kumele uphuza amanzi or else uzoba nomkhuhlane onje unamafutha amaningi uzoba nomkhuhlane onje so uqhakathekile kakhulu ukuthi singabantu abamnyama siqhakathekise impilo kahle yethu hlale ube yazi ukuthi impilo kahle yakho injani uyandise ukuphila kwakho. Ngayibeka phansi. Sisiya kusona sona. So lapha ngizoyitshengisa isona eqinisweni yefana nesifutho thina ezabantu abamnyama sijwayele ukufutha sivale sibhoyila amanzi sifaka amatshe sifaka amabhoyila le yisona yethu is just a room elama heaters phakathi so ama benefits eyesona ukuthi iyasiza nge-skin purification. Mangithi skin purification chaza ukuthi iskin sakho isikhumba sakho siba sihle. Ma uphakahlana uyabuginqa, ma uginqa izikhala zomzimba ziyavuleka. Kuqhakathekile ukuthi izikhala zomzimba zivuleke ukuze igazi lakho ligijime kahle. Ma ungumuntu ole blood pressure iyasiza kakhulu le. Ma ufuna ukuluza iweight, ufuna ukuba mncane bona ngathi usomkhulu kakhulu le iyasiza kakhulu. So ungena phakathi for 40 minutes. Leyana libonayo yi 44 degrees and then in 19 ngama minutes. So before ungene phakathi sikunika i-activated charcoal. Mangithi activated charcoal ngichaza ukuthi amalahle siwaziyo straight asiza nge-detoxification. For example, ma umuntu ozizwa ngathi uledliso or ma ulomuntu endlini ekhaya osedla poison amalahle bavama ukwanikeza umuntu alokuthi ayaphuze uze i-poison lana ingathi yayehla or idliso lingathi liyayehla. So kuqhakathekile ukuthi ma umuntu uhlale una activated charcoal ngoba iyasiza kakhulu. So mawuphuma lana kusona yakho uya ku ice bath yakho uqede lapho ungene ku shower yakho bese sikukisa kwenye indawo. Okay. And then lana sile red light. I-red light iyasiza ngokugijimisa igazi emzimbeni. So ungathola ukuthi utshela esibhedlela ukuthi hayi igazi lakho aligijimi kahle kuqhakathekile ukuthi ubuzoyenza i-red light. I-red light futhi iyasiza ngobuhlungu bomzimba. Uhlala umzimba ubuhlungu awazi yini obuhlungu iyasiza kakhulu. Iyasiza ukukhulisa inwele, iyasiza ngenwele eziqhamukayo, iyasiza ngestress, awulali kahle. Ubuzoyenza red light. Okunye futhi iyasiza emuntwini ozithweleyo. Umuntu ozithweleyo ma pregnant laphayana kuyadingeka ukuthi umntwana naye igazi elithole. Yikho uthola ukuthi umuntu ozithweleyo uyafica sefaka ama drip esibhedlela because of igazi lakhe aligijimi kahle. So uqhakathekile ukuthi umuntu ma ezithwele akezame lobu yenza i-red light ka 3 ka 4 ngenyanga enzana lezo ezi9 pregnant. So iyenziwa for 10 minutes. Omunye umuntu yabuye ethi hayi idolo lami libuhlungu la i-right i-red light uyayenza and then uyama lapha for 10 minutes kule timer on the side siyake sithi kumanye ama client uyenze 5 minutes uyibhekele 5 minutes back and then lana ngizoyilayitha uze libone ukuthi my on iba njani. Sometimes yaba lo munye umuntu othi hayi mina nginkinga yamehlo sinama glasses okumele yaqoka ukuze amehlo akhe engaboni but engakusho ukuthi ilight lakhona li right ukuthi amehlo akho ebe exposed to it. Ngizoyilayitha uze libone. And then lana sine ozone machine. I-ozone machine ilama benefits afana lawe Sauna. Ngeke ngabona i-trend kakhulu ma-press eyenza abantu bemangala ukuthi wenzani for ini kungani. Lento le iyasiza ngomzimba obuhlungu, sebenza contractini. As long usebenza nje umzimba yababuhlungu sometimes umzimba yavuka ubuhlungu kuqhakathekile ukuthi uyenze lento. Iyavula ama skin pores emzimbeni wakho futhi iyayenza igazi lakho ligijime kahle, iyasiza nge-blood pressure, iyasiza nge-stress and then uyenza for 40 minutes. Ma ucomfortable ma ukuthi kuyavuma awunandaba ukuthi singene sabe sibuya sizokusula lana ngoba ikhanda lakho liyabe liphandle and then unya kuhleli phakathi kulamanzi aboyilayo phakathi. Uyenza for only 40 minutes. Amanzi wafaka laphayana siphinde sifake lana i-ozone. I-ozone i-oxygen lana esipeyita ngayo sifake ezindlebeni kuqhakathekile ukuthi ingene ku skin sakho ukuze uhlale right. Okay, so umuntu mayiphakathi uyabe ngene kanje uyobe khumulile empahleni yabo ugqoke only maybe short and then lapha siyafaka amathawulo ukuze kungabe kuphuma umoya mawukuthi yafuna besimsula sabe sibuya simsuli ubuso lekhanda ngoba uzobe ginqa nothi kancane. Kuyafana nje nokuthi ustime ngamanzi mara lokhu kule advantage because akula ukuthi uzocha uzothelwa ngamanzi, akula ukuthi maybe igesi ayikho kumbe umlilo amalahla yenze njani. Come and do this. Okay, lana sine hyperbaric esibiza ngokuthi oxygen chamber ungena kuyo for 1 hour. So abanye baloku uyethuka mabe bezoyifaka kuyo. Singathi ngabantu aba claustrophobic, umuntu oyesaba ukuvalelana, umuntu oyesaba like umuntu osaba ungena even ku aeroplane. So lana ungena for 1 hour i-oxygen kuma blood cells akho iyasiza nge-relaxing, iyasiza ngokulala kahle nje in case you're not sleeping well, iyasiza nge-stress. And then lento lena iyakhukhumala ibe nkulu like iyagcwala umoya ibe nkulu igcwale konke lana ibe nkulu. Hayi iyakhukhumala ibe nkulu njengoba liyabona ukuthi lokho igcwala ngomoya. Iyagcwala ngomoya igcwale ngomoya and then mase sivula lana siqala sivulela sikhipha umoya ngoba ma ungavula lana izipha iyadabuka iphushwa ngumoya. Then sivule lana bese iyavula la bese uvula la ngaphakathi kanje umuntu bese yaphuma. Okay. Lana sine pressotherapy. Lymphatic pressotherapy. Zofaka And then lana sile pressotherapy. Pressotherapy ngathi kucisha kufani or ngithi kuyafana nokuhamba espa bekumassage inyawo. But ubunandi balokhu ukuthi uya increase I-pressure ngendlela ofuna ngayo ukuthi ufuna ukumassage kakhulu, ufuna ukupress kancane, ufuna ukwenzeni, ufuna ukupress kuphi ngaphi nini, ne? And then leni uyenza for 40 minutes or 30 minutes. Iyasiza ukugijimisa igazi emzimbeni. Sinabantu abanenkinga zenyawo ukuthi umuntu ufice sevuvukele, inyawo zisala zibuhlungu. Le iyasiza is your number 1 ongayenza. Sinabantu ababuya sometimes umuntu esuka esibhedlela esibhedlela abathe ngenze lento le because bayazi ukuthi lento le iqhakathekile. Yes ungahamba espa but advantage le ukuthi yabuhleli uwana ngekula ukuthi utshela umuntu upressa kakhulu upressa kancane. Okay, so futhi I-recommended for abantu aba-pregnant. Abantu aba-pregnant bahlala umuntu inyawo zivuvukile kubuhlungu. Bisumakoti ezoyenza I-pressotherapy for only 350. My camera, ne? Okay, ngizolitshengisa lana. So umtshina wethu uyaba kanje. Njengoba benchila ukuthi uya increase I-pressure ngendlela ufuna ngayo ukuthi ufuna itobeze kakhulu kumbe kancane. So siya increase I-pressure lana ngendlela ufuna ngayo. And then lana 1 2 3 4 5. Ngoba leyabona lana inqagala umbala kusemadolweni, kusezivunulana kuseqolo, ngemva kwamahlombe. So let's say uzwa enqagala kubuhlungu maye kupressa yapressa kuphela lapha yana uthi and then angeke isakumassage that part. Isiya massage yeqi massage lapha enyaweni yeqi kumbe uzwa lana emadolo kubuhlungu yapressa ayisakumassage lapha yana usiqolo libuhlungu yapressa ayisakumassage kanjalo. Or ufuna ukuthi massage kakhulu like fast yenze fast ya massage lapha imudu yakho and then like benchili ukuthi client ihlala for 30 minutes and then iyaphuma and then mayiphuma kumele umake sure ukuthi umoya lo uyawukhipha mawuphuma uze ma umuntu ongenayo mayisiza ingabust ngoba ungafaka umuntu umoya phakathi ungakaphumi izobust. And then lana sine ice bath. Ice bath satshwa ngabaningi kakhulu. Umunye umuntu mawumtshela ngokuthi ungene phakathi kwama ice usavele ukuthi high flu hayi mina ngiyofela phakathi. Ikanti ke lento le iqhakathekile. Ezinye izinto zalapha enditshengise zona izinto ebesiziyenza emandulo. For example ogogo ekhaya bathi untombazana ma ukuthi isemalangeni kumele igeza amanzi aqandayo. Bayabe besazi ukuthi into le bayenzelana. So lana sine ama ice bath ethu. I-client ne-client sinika 10 minutes ukuthi ingene phakathi. Okay, and then ongena kwakhe 10 minutes you boost your immune system. Mangithi ubooster I-immune system ngisho ukuthi awuphomba ukubanjwa iflu, awuphomba ukuchaya ikhanda, wonyongo kunzima ukuthi bekubamba because immune system yakho iyaboosteka. I think like ufika esibhedlela ukuthi nanka amaphilizi immune system yakho iphansi. So yakhona uzenza lento le. And then iyasiza ngama joints abuhlungu, ufuna ukuluza weight iyasiza kakhulu. Okunye mawukuthi akhona ukuyenza I-ice bath, zifundisa ukuthi even during i-winter vuke ekseni ugeza ngamanzi aqandayo, ntambama ugeza ngamanzi aqandayo, even uvuke phakathi kobusuku ugeza ngamanzi aqandayo. Uyakusiza kakhulu lokho. Iyasiza ngokuthi i-aging engisho ukuthi abanye abantu bashala uvalo la ama bengena phakathi and ungashala uvalo uyaqhuqa ungasaqeda ukuqhuqa ngakho. So before ungene phakathi siyakutshela ukuthi kumele uphefumule maybe ka 5 like sithi deep breath work 5 times or 10 times ukuze ama muscles akho omzimba relax. Ama muscles akho omzimba engarelaxanga ungena ushala uvalo uyoqhuqa ungaqedi umzimba wakho uyabanjwa yikwethuka ngathi you going to complete shock. Even lobo suphakathi uyabloka uphefumula in and out ukuze uhlale isikhathi eside or ngithi i5 minutes phakathi kumele uhlale phakathi ungamove umzimba wakho kuzima ukuthi ujwayele I-temperature kunzima ukuthi ujwayele nje phakathi ukuthi lento le ngiyenzela for in and then uzoyenza ngapha ama breathing sessions akhe ebese yangena phakathi. Yes. Okunye you have to stay still emanzini. Mawungena usazi ukuthi ngifuna ukuluza weight, ngifuna ukuboost immune system yami, ngifuna ukuyenza ukuguga kwami kungasheshi, ngingasheshi ukuhamba ngodondolo. izinto lezo kumele lokuzicabanga phakathi iyasiza futhi la ngestress ekakhulu ma stress uadvise ukuthi ungene up to lana ufake iphathi ekhanda lakho leli phakathi cause kule something eyipointed lama ngeke ngichaza ukuthi yini but what I know ukuthi umuntu lo ungamshaka lana uyafa so which means there is something eqhakathekile lana ekhoza istress yenza umuntu ungamshaka khona phefe so yikho sithi kumele ingene lapha emanzini. Yes, it's 60 seconds ngathi i1 minute iba nzima but as long as ukuphefumula wakho uhamba kahle and then you sit still uyajwayela amanzi kakhulu and umzimba wakho uba numb uyabe ngathi awusawuzwa kahle awusongo wakho umzimba uspirit sakho siphumule emzimbeni wakho angeke uzwe lutho. As you can see ama ice. Yes, ungawathenga endlini uthi hayi i-ice bath ngizoyenza endlini but mayiwane endlini kunzima ukuthi ungene for those minutes ngathi for 3 minutes because uzobuyeqa ujump ukuyenzani but lapha mase kumonitor uyakhona ukuyenza kahle i-ice bath yakho. Yeah. And uma ungene emanzini la aqanda kanje ne umzimba wakho uyashesha yabo ngasawuzwa but then wangena ku 6 degrees le this is about 3 degrees so umzimba wakho uyashesha ujwayela temperature fast uba numb fast.
So right aqalena now usangena ngathi
angiyahlatshwa ama ice bath ethu ahlukana i-temperature le angene kiyo today 3 degrees sorry ngoba uyabona anama ice degree ama ice bath ethu ahlukana ama temperatures le angene kiyo i3 degrees njengoba libona ukuthi inama ice i3 degrees yethu and then sinawo ama ice bath sinabantwana abale 12 years ababuya bezoyenza ama ice bath le yi freezer yabo and then sinayo eyinye ephakathi naphakathi leli siza 5 degrees silayo eyinye abantu abaqalayo nayi le 6 degrees aphelela ku 6 degrees isikhathi esiningi because mase singena ku 8 hayi sokufana nokuthi ungena ku pool so nje uqhakathekile ukuthi uyenze for ama starters umuntu oqala ukuyenza ngeke ngithi wohle ungene kule egcwele ama ice no ngena ku freezer eqandayo ngena ama ice because ungahle ungene it's your first time umzimba wakho yethu ngwethu uyaqhutha ungasaqedi nokuthi ukwenzakalana emzimbeni ungasikho ukuthi uyagodola but ama muscles akho ayethuka umzimba wakho ungasazi khona ukuyicontrol engqondo okunye is all about your mind i-ice bath ungasitshela ukuthi hayi ibuhlungu ngeke ngikhona ukuyenza ngizobanjwa iflu vela ngeke ukhona ukuyenza even 1 minute ngeke ukhona ukuyenza for example siba nabantu umuntu obuya every day but ngabuya the other day ngathi ingqondo ayikho lapho ucabanga into eziningi kunzima ukuthi ayenze even i5 seconds phakathi uyeza ubuhlungu because of your mind nje.
Njengoba sebechazile abanikazi sebechazile thina sibuye lapho ukuthi sizohila ama muscles bengise gym this past week and kuthiwa kuyancedisa kakhulu ukuthi ama muscles ahile so sengiqedile mina I've been here for the past 5 minutes kuthiwa yenza up to 10 but you can do 3 5 7 it's really up to you so sengiphuma mina ngoba angeke amazwane ungathi bequlwa yisando njengoba lwabona ama ice angkhona nanka enje khona lapha omunye ngathi maybe siyadlala iice nanzi nje so sengiphuma lapha banginikezile izinto zangikhona ungacabanga ukuthi kulula hayi ungathi bengiqulwa so ma podcast amahle sibonge iCampro Studios ukuthi silethe endaweni ezinje samba neThrive Labs njengoba umbona sengiphumile yimi lo banginikezile ithawula yangikhona mele ngizigoqele ukuthi ngibe ngathi nya khudumala kancane but yeah sengiphuma phakathi njengoba ubona nanga ama ice lapha yana ziyabuya danko